So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody around the world. Welcome to a conversation with young Zoroastrian professionals on being successful in education, finance, and medicine. This conversation series is being done as part under the auspices of the World Zoroastrian Chamber of Commerce. And the theme of the World Zoroastrian Chamber of Commerce is entrepreneurship, that is building the spirit of entrepreneurship. And it's recognized that entrepreneurship is the pursuit of opportunity beyond the resources that have been controlled. Our panelists today are Ayesha Rabadi-Raol, Behnoosh Sethna, and Garshasb Soroosh. Farzin Avari will synthesize the talks given by each of the people, and then I will moderate the discussion. The forthcoming conversations, one on May 16th, it's 7:30 p.m. India time, 7 p.m. Pakistan times, is entrepreneurship, creating economic, social, and intellectual wealth. And the panelists are Idil Dawa, Rohinton Mehta, and Noshir Contractor. And on June the 20th, we have a panelist of 3 young people from India who will share with us lessons from studying in India. That's Vispi Karkaria, Danish Aga, and Karen Pitawala. The plan for the conversation today, that's 18th of April, 2021, opening, it's about 5 minutes. The panelists will introduce themselves and then do a commentary. And each has been allocated about 7 minutes each to finish their presentation. The idea here is to start a dialogue between the people who have presented and also the participants. Farzin will come along and then synthesize what has been said and open the floor, the mic for questions for clarification. The questions for clarification will be addressed to each of the speakers, and you can put it in the chat or raise your hand and direct your question to the speaker. And once that is completed, then we will open it up for anything and everything. So it will be a dialogue between panelists, participants, and most importantly, what would the participants like to hear next? Then we will close. There'll be some closing remarks. ZFN official, that is Yazdi Tatra, the panelists, and I will have a few things to say. So what are we about? The World Zoroastrian Chamber of Commerce, in partnership with the Zoroastrian faculty and academia, envision empowering Zoroastrian students to learn how to create economic, cultural, and intellectual value. All 3 of them. The mission of the Zoroastrian Faculty Network is to facilitate Zoroastrian youth through higher and specialized education to pursue careers in industry, government, and academia as business entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, and knowledge entrepreneurs. The ZFN webinars are formed as conversations to help Zoroastrian youth with support of their parents. It is very important, support of their parents, to attain higher and specialized education, This initiative is supported by the R.D. Sethna Scholarship Fund, and for further information, you can email R.D. Sethna trusts to figure out what's happening. Now, it was my great pleasure to welcome Ayesha Rabadi-Raol, our first panelist, to introduce herself and to share what she has to say about succeeding in education. Ayesha, the screen is yours.
I think there's an internet connection issue with Ayesha. We can move to the next person.
Ayesha is there? No. Okay. Behnoosh.
Sure, I can go ahead. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the session. My name is Behnoosh Sethna. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I was born in Karachi, Pakistan, and my background is a Bachelor's of Science in Economics and Finance. I graduated from State University of New York in Plattsburgh. Currently, my research project is being in research in a corporate governance firm. And before that, I worked in the investment banking sector. My passion is to help students land their first corporate opportunity, internship, and full time, because we all know how hard it is to get that first opportunity right out of college. You can contact me on my email or LinkedIn. I'm available on both. So starting off on today's slide, my academic journey. My in education interest came from economic development and financial analysis. When I was born in Pakistan, I was interested to know why are some developing nations doing great while some are underdeveloped. I wanted more answers to my curiosity. That's why I chose economic development and financial analysis as my academic interest. My career is strategic thinking and research. I like to think critically, solve problems, break it down into smaller pieces, and that's why I chose a career in strategic thinking. My motivation to get a degree was to invest in myself, because if you invest in yourself, I feel you can invest in others too. And my influencers are my mentors, my family, friends, people who surround me, support me, and the Medium blog. And by Medium blog, it's something that I recently joined during quarantine. It's a platform where you read articles from your favorite authors or things that you're interested in, you join those topics. And it just gives you more passion about reading those and more knowledge. My lessons from academic journey. So if you're someone who's starting an academic journey, whether it's in the US, UK, India, Canada, or anywhere, these are the three main points I have. Be actively involved on campus. It's so important to be involved on campus because I feel education is just not in the four walls of classroom. It can be any place, anywhere. Like I, as a finance major, went on a trip to New York City to see the stock exchange. And once I got back to the classroom, I had more passion for my studies. Second, learn from your mistakes and avoid repeating. We'll often make mistakes. It's a math problem or something, but it's important to learn that basic of that mistake so you don't carry on that mistake and you avoid repeating it. And my third for college students is to practice self-talk. Listen to self. We're all living in a pandemic right now, and it's been tough, but don't let the negativity drive you. Be positive. Whenever you have a negative thought, be conscious in thinking about it and try to divert it. And that's where our Zoroastrian learning comes from. It's our Maiti, which is 42 times mentioned in our Gatha. It talks about calm thinking and having harmonious thoughts and meditation. So practice our Maiti. My third point on being successful in corporate. So having a successful journey in corporate or, or any other major that you're part of is goal plan ahead and write a timeline to achieve it and talk to your support system. It's so important to talk about the goals we want to achieve, what we want to do with our support system, because you never know, someone has had the experience in it and they can guide you further. And it's important to write a timeline. So when you go back to it, if you've achieved or not achieved your goal, it will still make you smile. Second is use corporate competition as a self-motivator and do not let greed consume you. This is a very important point, which comes to my highlight of the session. Learn from individual responsibility. While you're in the corporate world, there is a lot of competition. Someone, a junior, is trying to get that senior analyst role. Your end, people are fighting for a promotion. There is a lot of competition, but don't let that greed consume you. And that's what the Zoroastrian teaching has taught me. In Yasna 30.2, Zarathustra, there are verses of Gathas where Zarathustra says, listen to yourself individually, carefully, have that individual thought, man and women, and do not allow a tribal conception to come and distort. What I mean by that is have your own individual conscious thoughts, have that research done, have that knowledge done, and then make that decision. And whatever that decision is, be ready to have that fruit of the labor or the responsibility that comes with that decision. And don't let someone guide or change your decision thinking about in the corporate world if you deserve a promotion or not, if you deserve a senior role or not. Have that own conscious individual self thinking. And my third is evaluate your progress often, lift and help others to achieve your own goals. And I think this is the most important point. None of us are here successful if we don't help others achieve the goals that they want to do. And that's what we speak in Yasna 43.15 is that you develop a Wahumana, good mind, and Ushtat, good thoughts if you help others succeed too. And it's, I believe, learning is multiplied when you divide it among other people. So often evaluate your progress and help others climb too. And coming to the fourth important point, tips for young Zoroastrians. As a young Zartoshti, my first bullet point is to those in finance major, be detail oriented. But we all know it's not just linked to finance. It can be any other major, or if you're cooking a dish. It's so important to be detail oriented. The tiny things that matter, like in my finance job, I had to learn it the hard way. Turning 100 into $1,000 can be a big number for a firm, for a gain or a loss and a percentage hike. So be very detail oriented on the tiny things. My second is update your resume frequently with new skills. Being in the investment banking sector and the operations role, I learned that there are some things that are driving and becoming obsolete because we're having a technology advancement. Cybersecurity was on a high rise, everyone was hiring. And it's important to see those learnings and try to develop your resume with new skills always. I think education just doesn't stop in school. The third point is network and build connections when applying for a job and career role online. And this is to people who have a desk job 8 hours behind a computer. Know that you're a person, a human behind a computer, and try to bring that out of you. So when you're applying online for jobs, definitely like reach out to people, write personal essays, why you're interested in it, try to build that connection. And my fourth and last is stay in touch with your community, and unity is capitalized. I think your community is the unity that drives you. If you're in North America, subscribe to Fazana journals or bulletins, like read what's happening in your community, connect with people all around. And then once you do that, don't forget to go back and help others and lift others as you climb. Um, so that's my talk for today. I'm going to give the next opportunity to Garshasb, who's in the medical field, and he's going to talk about his academic and career journey.
Thank you, Behnoosh. So my name is Garshasb Soroosh. I'm also in Baltimore City in Maryland. I was born in New Jersey here in the United States. My background, so I have a bachelor's of biology that I received from the University of Maryland. And in a month, I'll be graduating with my medical doctorate from Johns Hopkins. And a couple months after that, I'll be starting as a resident physician at Johns Hopkins still. So my passion is also teaching, mentoring students, helping students get connected to the next step that they want to achieve. And you have my contact information, my email. Please feel free to reach out anytime. So for me, my tagline really is this idea of bettering the lives of those around you. So my academic journey was inspired by my childhood. I had some asthma, I had pneumonia a few times, and going to the doctor to get treatment and come back really imprinted on me and influenced me and made me curious about what disease is, what makes some people healthy, what makes some people sick at certain times. And as I went through classwork in high school and college, biology really helped me understand these things and fill this curiosity and got me more inspired. So thinking about these things, I thought, well, maybe I can take this into for the rest of my life and have a career in medicine. So I started volunteering at different medical clinics and seeing that role that doctors had to really help alleviate suffering in their patients and help people understand their disease and get better really impacted me, which is why I pursued the MD degree, because it teaches these skills, which I really wanted to do myself. So moving on to point 2, lessons for being successful. Like it has been said, learning something from everyone around you. I know Ayesha will expound on this later, but there's really a wealth of knowledge in all the people around you, no matter who they are, no matter if they're your boss, your supervisor, or the janitor you see once a week. Everybody has something to teach you, and you should learn whatever you can from everyone around you. Next, surrounding yourself with friends and mentors who make you better. Next, I have pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and this goes hand in hand with the point after that. Tiny growths can compound over time. So if you slowly and slowly push yourself to challenge yourself and take on things that you weren't comfortable with yesterday, you'll grow over time. I had one professor in college tell me that if you're scared of snakes, go to a zoo and convince somebody to hand you a snake to wear around your neck so that you grow that way and grow comfortable, and it builds confidence and ability over time. And hand in hand with that, we shouldn't expect big changes and big growths all of a sudden. That's what we all expect because we're human, but the reality is that we're all growing slowly, and a lot of times these growths might not be noticed easily. And finally, for this box, enjoy the journey. You know, we always are, it's easy to get laser focused on the destination. You know, I need this job, I need this degree, but enjoying the journey, enjoying those little things like Behnoosh mentioned, the field trips, getting out to see everything. This is what also brings you joy throughout your life. So moving on to the third box, being successful in medicine in particular, see and be seen. I really loved what Behnoosh mentioned about being actively involved in campus. This is exactly the same sort of idea. Get out there, see what is out there, put yourself out there, have others see what you are doing as well. Next, I have ask for exactly what you want. You will be in contact with these peers, these mentors, these advisors, and you should be comfortable asking exactly, you know, I want to have this kind of job one day, or I want to apply to this scholarship, and ask for it and you will receive those things. Next, really in line with my tagline, leave others better for having been in your company. This comes from a physician who I worked with, a doctor in the hospital, who sees some of the most sick heart patients in the hospital, a lot of whom he knows are going to pass away before he gets to see them again. And before we walked into the first patient room, he stopped me and he said, before we go in, I want you to put on a big smile. And every room I go in with a big smile. I'm happy and I give off this positive energy, because if I can spend 10 minutes with this person and make them feel happy and make them smile back at me, then I know that I've made them better. And that really stuck with me. And I try to take that with me to everything that I go into. Next, I have trust but verify, just in line with the having individual thoughts of your own, like Behnoosh mentioned. You should trust your mentors, trust your friends, trust the advice that you're given, but also verify them. Have your own thoughts as well and bring your own understanding to things. Finally, no amount of smarts can replace compassion and humanity. This is particularly true in medicine, I think. You can spend all your time studying at a textbook, but if you don't know how to really connect with somebody, then you will miss out and not be able to help them in the way that you could have otherwise. So moving on to my last box here, tips for young Zoroastrians. Plug yourself into the connections we have in our community. You know, we have so many successful, willing, happy people who are here to mentor you, to connect you with things that we can give you here at the ZFN and other organizations with your local Zoroastrian community. Ask for what you want, put yourself out there, see what is available, and get those opportunities. Next, doing good and improving the lives of others will lead you to a fulfilling life and career. these wonderful, beautiful guiding principles we have, the humata hukta havarashta, these really, if you take them to heart and use them to guide your career in education and then your career after you get your degrees, it really leads you not only to be successful, but to be happy also and have a fulfilling life. And finally, prioritize things and people that bring you joy. This journey is long. There are many exams. No matter what path you choose, remember that you are also a person. Enjoy the journey and prioritize people who are important to you. So next, if Ayesha joined, I think I saw in the chat, so I will pass it back over to Ayesha.
Hi everyone, I'm sorry my internet went down, so thank you team for being flexible. I'll begin now. My name is Dr. Ayesha Rabadi-Raol. I'm currently living in Toronto, Canada, but I was born in Mumbai, India. I have completed 2 degrees from the prestigious Teachers College, Columbia University in New York. The first one was a Master of Arts in General and Special Education, and the second degree was a Doctor of Education in Early Childhood Teacher Education. I'm soon to be an assistant professor at Sonoma State University in California. I focus all my good thoughts, words, and deeds to pursue my passion of education for equity and justice for all. Please feel free to contact me via email or LinkedIn. My email is right there on the slide. All right, so moving on, I'm talking about positive intent to impact and how we can transition from the positive intent to impact. So first, I will talk about my academic journey. I always saw school as a safe space, and I've been blessed with kind-hearted and wonderful teachers at Girton High School all the way through to university. I truly believe this quote by Eric Allen, who is a former NFL player and American Football League player. And he says, "Everyone is my teacher. Some I seek, some I subconsciously attract. Often I learn simply by observing others. Some may be completely unaware that I'm learning from them, yet I bow deeply in gratitude." This has been a guiding quote in my life. If we set positive intentions, we can achieve anything with the help of our friends, family, and our Zoroastrian community. This has been my personal experience. Next, when choosing your career, do what you love and feel passionate about. This I know is very easy to say, but it's very hard to follow. I had a bachelor's degree from the JJ School of Arts in Mumbai when I started working for a child development center. I realized then that although I loved art, I was most passionate about teaching young children because they give me joy. After working at the Child Development Center for 14 years, I was motivated to get a graduate degree and a doctorate in education because I truly believe in the power and potential of early childhood education and the impact that good teachers can have on the lives of young children. I'm currently pursuing my dream of educating teachers and developing their potential. I'm working on developing a global platform called DiversiThink to work with teachers on issues of diversity and inclusion in early childhood. Early childhood education does not merely end with a short course in Montessori or teacher training or teaching children the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s. There is so much more to it. Teachers help develop children's abilities and capabilities, which I believe is crucial to human development. As a doctor of education, I can link my practice to theory and construct new knowledge in the field of education. Now I will move to point number 2. The first and most important lesson is to think about how you can make an impact in your field. How will you contribute to the bigger picture? And that's where your passion can drive and guide you. Work hard and be true to your goals, however big or small they may be. And finally, and most important, know your value. I cannot stress this enough. As international students move to new countries, we might feel insecure and not value ourselves or know our place in the new setting. Please know that you are valuable. You are a valuable asset to any university. You bring with you your rich Zoroastrian background, your values, your beliefs, which can only enhance the learning experience for your peers and for yourself. Now, moving to point number 3. To be successful in education, it's important to be open to new ideas and know that you are there to learn. Sometimes we need to unlearn so much in order to learn new things. Especially when it comes to education, we need to keep evolving, learning new ways and strategies to reach and to teach the children in today's classrooms. Be open to new experiences, and be and stay well connected with fellow educators and like-minded people. People who share your passions will help motivate you on your journey. But also, don't shy away from learning from people who are not like-minded. You can learn from everyone around you and then decide for yourself what you want to do and what you don't want to do. Know yourself and find out what works for you. Finally, point 4, for young Zoroastrian students, I want to stress the philosophy of a great educator, Rudolf Steiner, who said in 1925, education is a journey, not a race. Take your time to enjoy the journey and you will reach your destination soon enough. Do the best that you can in every situation, however big or small it may be. Sometimes you may have days when things just don't work out. Learn from these experiences and move on ahead. Understand that there are multiple paths to success and that you have to choose the right one for you. From a Zoroastrian perspective, think about the path of Asha or righteousness. How can you intentionally pursue a righteous path, not only for yourself, but for the betterment of others to leave a positive impact on their lives? That should be your goal. Thank you very much again, team, for being flexible. And I think now Farzin will synthesize all 3 talks. I will hand it over to her.
Hi, everyone. I'm Farzin Avari. I'm an educator from Atlanta, Georgia. I currently work as a virtual science teacher. I love helping people learn, grow, and thrive. I will be synthesizing the thoughts from our speakers today, and I have done so. Or as I do so, please type your questions for clarification into the chat pod and mention who the question is directed to. So Ayesha spoke to us about changing a positive intent into making an impact. Some important things she's mentioned are education is a journey, not a race. As you move through your journey, it is important to learn from everyone and every opportunity along the way, and remember your value. You have a valuable perspective to contribute. Behnoosh spoke to us about learning from individual responsibility. It is your responsibility to invest your time and your energy into your education. It is your responsibility to be actively involved and engaged with campus activities. It is your responsibility to be detail-oriented and reflect on how things went well and how you can improve moving forward. Garshasb spoke to us about bettering the lives of those around us by surrounding yourself with people who make you a better person. Allow yourself to be okay with discomfort. Working through that discomfort allows you to grow and become better. Thus, it is important to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. To summarize, in order to be happy and successful, you need to find your passion, invest in yourself, and persist in being a better person. When you are successful and you are able to share your gifts with others, you will be able to share happiness with your community. Yes Now 43.1 tells us that happiness comes to those who bring happiness to others. Next, I will pass it to Farrokh to moderate the questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Ayesha, Behnoosh, Farzin, and Garshasb. We are now open for questions for the panelists. Questions for clarification, please put them up in the chat or raise your hand, and I will call on you. And who'd like to start? Right. Since there are no questions for clarification, the screen is open, the mic is open for anybody to ask anything, say anything. Keep it short so we can have a dialogue and we can proceed. Shirin Mary to everyone. What are some coping strategies that have proven to be harmful for you during the COVID crisis? So who'd like to try that from the panelists? What are some coping strategies that have proven to be successful for you during the COVID crisis?
I can take that if you like. So I finished my doctorate last year. I had already gone for an interview in California. I got the job. I was super excited. I was going to be an assistant professor. And then things didn't work out because the pandemic hit and the consulates were closed and my immigration documents didn't go through. And I was very, very disappointed with that because we were all set to move to California from very cold Toronto. It was very disappointing not to be able to do that and to follow the career paths that I had planned and set my intentions towards. But then I realized, okay, I'm here in Toronto for one more year. What else can I do? And then I found out that many parents are getting together and forming these learning pods. So as you know from my talk, I'm an early childhood educator. I have over 19 years of experience with young children in various contexts. And then I reached out to some parents, and now I'm teaching a group of 6 or 7 children who are between 4 and 5 years old. And it's in a safe space. So that's how I kind of adapted to the change. And this one year has been really rewarding to be with those young children. I'm not isolated because of them. And I think that has been my coping strategy, just going back to normal and being around young children. That's my experience, at least. Would anyone else like to share?
So next, thanks, Aisha. I know how hard it can be for people like with immigration issues throughout this pandemic. So for me, I think a coping strategy was back in 2020, before even the COVID started, I was job hunting. I knew I wanted a different job. And then like March happened and I was like, oh no, everything's like there's very high unemployment. People are looking for jobs now, things are changing. But definitely, I think my coping strategy was looking at it in a different perspective. And that's for everyone on this session, like with this pandemic, like look at how things will differ tomorrow in your industry that you're working in and try to like learn and unlearn. That's what Aisha taught. Like what you've learned is sometimes you have to unlearn to go ahead. So for me, it was more about like trying to unlearn that I was just focused on a specific job, that I changed my understanding. I was like, okay, let me look at different roles and opportunities that are there in the industry. And that's how I ended up this year having a research role, a thing that I'm interested in. So I would definitely say like write down, make a list, be adaptable, but also like be understanding to unlearn some things. I think that's the biggest thing. And know that like the industry is changing. things will be different. How can I individually make that decision to adapt?
Thank you. Anybody else? Nazneen, you've had a interesting journey.
Yes, absolutely. So basically, I graduated in 2020 and in May, and COVID pandemic hit in March. So I was job hunting to keep my F1 status yet here, and then I landed on a voluntary job because I couldn't get a permanent one at that point of time due to COVID. And of course, WGCC and everybody and all the other committees were trying to help me out find a job. And thanks to them, today I've landed on a job. But during COVID, it was difficult, like to get a job at that point of time. So I focused not only working on my voluntary job, but also on online courses that I could pursue and try to develop more of technical knowledge of the field. Like I could learn different softwares when during COVID. So that's what I did to divert my time and not waste my time during COVID.
Anybody else? Idil?
I think for me, I ended up diving into my work and just kind of really trying to revise all the things that I was doing as a teacher. And after a while, I noticed that I was working all the time. And so I took a step back and I started to paint, because it was something that I got to do that was different from my work, but gave me the opportunity to sit and reflect and just do something a little bit different. And I noticed that started helping me kind of reorganize my thoughts instead of constantly focusing on work all the time.
Farrokh, did I hear you mention my name?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that, obviously a positive attitude is very important. The secret of happiness is not doing what you like to do, but liking what you have to do. And look for opportunities. WZCC really turned the COVID situation into a positive, and the amount of interaction we've had globally would not have happened without COVID. So look for opportunities, make it positive, and turn it around. Yeah.
Anybody else? Well, let me add my two-penny bit to this question that Shirin has asked. I want to piggyback on what Idil said. We have two options as human beings. One is to say things are terrible, 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 hoi, 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 hoi. I can't do anything. I'm a victim. And the other is to say, all right, here's an opportunity. How do I proceed? Idil, being the entrepreneur that he is, tells us that we need to think positively and look for opportunities that make things that are different and allow us to continue life and be happy. That is exactly what my wife and I have done. We are professors at the University of Oklahoma, and we adjusted extremely well. Now, there's a trick to that. We have put together a plan for every day. We are systematic and we are organized. We get up at a certain time, we do certain things, and we make things happen. One of the things that we found was that we had to redo and do it quickly and is the internet. One has to have a very strong internet and a very, very good computer so that you're able to communicate with people all around the world. The second thing that we found with our students is that we needed to increase the amount of time we spent talking to them. We replaced the in-class experience with experience of talking to people individually, because we'd have office hours and nobody would show up. But here, our office hours are anytime during the day. We meet people at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock at night. And that has made a huge difference. So the 3 points I'd like to make is, one, that you look for opportunities, as Idil has said, not consider yourself to be a victim, but to think in terms of what's the opportunity. Two is that you need a very strong internet with a computer. And 3, you need to be systematic and organized so that you're able to talk to people and make things happen. So with that, if there's anybody else to comment on that, otherwise we can move to the next question.
This is Behram calling from Washington, DC. I'd like to pick up on what Adel said. Since this is a Zoroastrian faculty network, I want to bring in a little Zoroastrian perspective to our discussion here. So we have this idea of Ahriman, which is a post-Gothic concept, that there is evil. And I am postulating that there is no evil. It is only something which happens in our life. So we can say that COVID-19 was Ahriman. But I would say that in the case of our experience that Adel just described of the global Zoroastrian community coming together and the WZCC, Ahriman actually brought us a gift. It is thanks to Ahriman, the COVID-19, that we have connected in an amazing way all across the world and brought the Zoroastrian community together as a diaspora. So I would submit that all of us on this panel take a look at the concepts in the Gathas as to what is the meaning of good and evil. And I would submit that there is no evil. It is only the post-Gothic translators who have brought their own biases to the translation of the Avestan that brings in the concept of evil. It is just a matter of existence and how we take the cards which are dealt to us and how we play that game. As all the panelists today have mentioned, the goal is to be happy, and to make others happy is the way to be happy. But as I want to underline what Behnoosh Sethna said. In 30.2, in the Gathas, it says, listen and then make up your own mind. But in the past, I used to think it was just listening to the others. But I think the point she made so beautifully was that listen to yourself. Think, reflect, and then make a decision. And if we keep those concepts in mind, dealing with COVID-19 is no problem at all. It changes our mindset, our Vahumana, to work together in a community and bring us forward. So thanks for your time.
Great. There's a question from Young Zoroastrian. Young, would you like to state your question? Young?
Sorry, basically the question is for the speakers, the 3 young speakers, as to what they would suggest, one thing that would help young people who are depressed due to the COVID situation, that would help whether Zoroastrian or not.
I can take this question. So as a high school teacher that's teaching virtually, one thing that I have really done is made sure to reach out to my students. I probably engage with them more now that I'm a virtual educator than I did in the classroom, because I reach out to them and call them and talk to them several times a month. I find opportunities for them to engage with their peers as well. I lead Beta Club and News Crew, and I think providing them with spaces to engage, even if it is just virtually over Zoom, is really important as well. And just to encourage them to do things that make them happy, like paint or draw, is really helpful.
If I may add something to that, I totally agree. And another thing that I've been recommending my peers to do is like take one day at a time. And, you know, so every day you just think of something new that you would want to do. And if there are days when you don't want to do absolutely nothing, it is fine. Like you totally deserve just lie in bed and watch whatever you want. So yeah, that's it.
I can jump in too. I think depression is a very serious problem. We need to take it very seriously. Many young people, old people, everyone is feeling it, especially with the continuous lockdown situations that people are in. People may be isolated, especially in cities. If they are international students, they may be living, in apartments with roommates, and they are cooped up in really tiny apartments. They don't have any space to go. It's hard for young children too. Um, I've seen it affect my nephew. He's in India. He's in an apartment. He can't go down to play. He's very upset. It's hard. It's hard for many people. It's hard for everyone, I think, but everyone's coping in different ways. So I think it's important for us to realize that. And even if we have a very positive attitude and we are dealing with it in a positive way and taking the opportunities, I think we need to recognize that many people may not be doing that. So we need to reach out to our friends, our neighbors, via Zoom, call, just WhatsApp, text them, just check on people, connect with people maybe you haven't connected with in a long time. We have so much technology to do that now. We have the resources to do that. So I think we need to also be proactive in reaching out to people. Just because we are doing well doesn't mean everybody else is doing well. So I know that I have reconnected with a lot of my friends from school, a lot of my friends in university. I know social media helps a lot. We have discussions about interesting things. I've connected with the ZFN, which is great. It's a good conversation. I've connected with more Zoroastrians because we presented at the UN. So just, find ways to connect with people. I think we should also take on the onus of reaching out to people we care about, because depression is a very, very serious thing. Yeah. Thank you for asking that question.
I definitely
Anybody
second
else?
everything that Ayesha just mentioned. Our world is being forced to be smaller because we're sitting in front of screens. We're not able to go out and about like we used to, and being very proactive about setting time aside to say, during this time I will do something that doesn't involve a screen, or do something purposefully with my family, with my friends, with people, to get little bits of those back. And I also wanted to also bring up and add to what Ayesha mentioned, to say that, depression is very serious, and people throw around the term, I'm depressed, I'm feeling sad, it's hard. The situation of COVID is outside of us, and it's forcing us to be in a way that we normally are not. And if these coping strategies that everyone has brought up, if talking to friends, talking to family is not enough, and you still feel this overwhelming pressure of depression, there's no shame to reach out to a professional, whether it's a psychiatrist or a therapist, somebody who can get you the help. We naturally put pressure on ourselves to try to find a solution, but there are experts out there to help us through this. I know so many of my colleagues, medical students, professors at medical universities who went through depression either during COVID or beforehand, who either had to be on medication or had to go through therapy. And getting that help helps bring you back to the success and the mind state that you're in before. And there's no shame in getting that help if it is what we need.
Karishma.
In addition to everything wonderful that people have said, I just want to reflect upon the fact that as Zartoshtis, we also have the very strong concept of Kshatravirya and Ushta, which is not just happiness, but organized learning. And so measurable incremental success, which can be documented, like I'll come back to what Farrokh mentioned, to actually have a place to write it down, break it down, and use this as an opportunity, not just to cope, but to win, to enjoy that process, and then turn it into, like Ayesha said, reaching out to others, and then sharing both successes and failures. And Shireen, in her very thoughtful way, had actually asked, what are some coping strategies that have proven to be harmful for you during COVID times? So isolation and not reaching out and not actually sharing things
might be one of those. So Kshatravarya might be the answer.
Thank you. Adil Irani. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Natalie.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to the speakers, and it's very inspiring to see you and to hear what you had to say. It's really touching to us. I grew up first generation over here, and there was not really a peer group for me, but to see all of you, it really touches my heart. So thank you very much for your insight. And I know all of you are working hard. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Adil Irani, are you here? Adil Irani has a question. All things being equal, will you help Parsi Zoroastrian in admission and scholarships in their chosen field? So I think, who'd like to answer that? Yes, Farrokh, go ahead. Farrokh Rustamji. Can't hear you, Farrokh. Farrokh, can't hear you. Cannot hear you, Farrokh. All right, we'll get Farrokh back. Karishma has raised her hand. Go ahead. And then Adil may have something to say.
I think Adil first.
No, no, go ahead.
Okay, on the Zoroastrian Faculty Network
I was
page.
going to say Farrokh's the right person, but go ahead.
On the Zoroastrian Faculty Network page, Yazdi Tantra and others, particularly Yazdi, shares all the scholarship information. So the first thing we suggest people to do is to actually be proactive. Go through the Zoroastrian Faculty Network notes, go through the web page, go through the WZCC. So even looking at entrepreneurship ideas at a higher level helps a student learn how to make applications. Document where you want to study, what you want to do, tabulate it all, and then reach out to us. I'll put my email address down, but you'll find everything on the Zoroastrian Faculty webpage. We've got scholarships there. We are all here to help you, and we will help you to put together a strong application.
Great. Adil, Farrokh, are you ready? Farrokh Rustamji, are you ready? Otherwise, Adil, proceed, please.
Yeah, no, the intent is definitely to say yes. And we have a group of people who are involved with universities within the ZFN, and we are there to help you. As Karishma mentioned, that we help people with the application process. We've got actually young graduates we've had sessions where they've advised people where to apply, how to apply, what to do. So yes, we're actively involved in the process. There's also intent to be able to finance it. Farrokh Rustamji, if he is able to talk to us about it. But R.D. Sethna, we had a webinar with R.D. Sethna, with Tata Endowment, with Mr. Pereira from the Scholarship Fund. And so we've identified places where you can get financing from. And of course, the student has to also work hard to, take advantage of these opportunities. And Farrokh is always there as the key person in this process,
Yeah, can I start
Farrokh
now?
Rustamji?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Good. Sorry for the glitch in the audio system. I take this opportunity to talk to everybody here who's joined in on this webinar, that apart from whatever you have participated and heard, spread the message to other students so that they gain value from this wonderful platform which we have created, that is the Zoroastrian Faculty Network, and be more proactive even beyond this webinar. If you have any questions, you can always refer to our website, post it there, and we'll be happy to reach out to you take the opportunities, spread the message to your students and friends. There's a lot more to just this webinar, and this webinar system has been going on every month. We have one webinar on interesting topics. Go through it on our website and connect with us. We'll be very happy to share our knowledge and information for the betterment of our student community. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Vispi from India to share his experience with the Zoroastrian Faculty Network and the seminars, and how he went about getting admission to Northwestern in the United States. Go ahead, Vispi.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. So I started doing ZFN webinars from June 2020, and COVID gave me an advantage to connect with many people online. So I've been working with Professor Farrokh on some projects, and he has helped me in guiding me and in the application process. So by seeing webinars over here, many students get tips like how should we create our application, how we should approach for our future, think critically that what career we want. And from this platform, you can also explore many more opportunities. So when you are in one place in one college and you communicate with your friends, you don't know much of the opportunities which are there. So by joining a platform such as a ZFN, which is a beautiful platform, you can come to know more opportunities also. And yes, this was my takeaway. And also there was a webinar related to scholarships. So that was extremely helpful, and it will be helpful to other students also to apply to scholarships. So I would say that the ZFN team has created an excellent platform for students who want to come forward in life, see the opportunities and back them. And secondly, I would say that today's webinar was great, and it was a delight to listen to all the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I just jump in here? Farrokh, could I just say a few words? This is Behram Pistakia from Washington, D.C. I wanted to pick up on the idea of funding for graduate education. Now, we have discussed this before. Undergraduate education in India and so on is excellent. For graduate education, if you want funding worldwide, there are lots of fully paid PhD programs. The very top universities, if you can get an admission into them, your whole tuition is waived. On top of that, they will also give you a stipend. How does that work? I just want to explain that briefly. The top universities have very talented faculty who are able to attract huge research grants, but they do not have enough time to execute those research grants. So they are looking for intelligent people who are able to fulfill those ambitions of doing research. That is a win for the professor if he is able to attract a well-accomplished student. And the university gains because as more funds come into the university, its status goes up. In the process, there's a whole funding mechanism in place which has not yet been tapped into by the Zoroastrian community. For example, just in the field of psychology, if somebody wants to do a PhD in psychology, there are 13 fully paid PhD programs all over the world. And that's just an example. You'll find similar thing about PhD programs in different fields of human endeavor. We talk about Zoroastrian Faculty Network bringing in 3 aspects of entrepreneurship. One is intellectual, and the other is economic, and then the third is social. But they all overlap. And what we are doing here in the ZFN is a model of social entrepreneurship. But it cannot work by itself. It has to have the 3 pillars, and the intellectual entrepreneurship is what we'd like to promote here, particularly in the field of graduate education. So yes, the answer to the question is yes, we are here to help. Reach out to us and talk to us, and we'll be happy to share what we know. Thanks.
Anybody else? Right? So what I'd like to now do is to proceed by inviting people who would like to do their takeaways or what they've gotten out of this webinar. So who'd like to start? Are there any summary statements, closing statements, just like Behram has made?
Can I go?
Certainly, Zain.
Yeah. So what I learned today is like we have to be actively involved, both in college and community. Set goals, evaluate your progress, and also don't forget to help others. And there is always something to learn from everyone, and surround yourself with people who would make you better. And as always, enjoy your journey. So that's what I.
Zain is an undergraduate in India, and he is getting an online degree from Madras IIT and also a regular degree from an institution in India. And his sister, I think, Karen, is ready to summarize as well.
Yes, I have basically two major takeaways from this session. The first is regarding education. Education is not only what you learn in classroom. Education can be also found from all the people around you, your friends, your mentors, family, and everyone else. And the second thing is giving back to community. Obviously, if we are doing well in your career or are progressing, at any age or with any occupation, you have the ability to empower the other people. So it is very helpful.
Thank you, Karen. Sanam Karunakar, would you like to comment? HPN,
Sanam.
would you like to summarize, comment? Yeah, go ahead.
Sanam is my sister. I don't know if I think she's on her phone, so I don't know if she'll comment.
Okay.
She's quite shy in social situations.
All right. HPN, would you like to comment? Elhome? Can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
I think I'm fine for now, thank you. But the coping strategies definitely helped. And also the 13 PhD options that they gave for psychology. I'm a psychology student myself studying in London. So definitely it will help me way forward. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Karishma.
Okay, so this is my takeaway from this. You've got very, very experienced, highly technically qualified people in the ZFN with links to the WZCC. So there is a future in the network. So go back to the webinar, spread the word of the older webinars, listen to them in groups of your own friends, which is a great learning experience because you can then have this whole process on your own. So enjoy.
All right, so with that, we're coming to the last. So Ayesha, closing statements.
Closing statement. I just want to say thank you to the ZFN for this opportunity of just giving some time and advice to young students. It really makes my heart happy to be able to do that. And just coming back to the question of all things remaining equal, will we support Zoroastrian students? I think all things might not be equal because as a Zoroastrian student, I know I have been the beneficiary of the wonderful trusts and scholarships that Zoroastrians have founded in India. I'm here today because of the support that they've given me. So I'm very, very grateful to my community. And I hope to keep contributing to the success of the youth. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Ayesha. Behnoosh.
I'll say the similar to Ayesha. Thank you everyone for having me, for listening. and getting your take backs. I hope they help you. There's a lot of preparation that goes behind this, like the preparatory rounds, the video calls, technical things, and slides. So it was great, like being in a team with Farzin, Garshasb, Ayesha, and getting to know them more, but also like the ZFN team that's so helpful out there. And if anyone's looking for a job, just in college, want to ping or introduce yourself, like we're most welcoming. Just do that and we'll connect you to a bigger network. Thank you.
Garshasb.
Ditto for me. Really exciting to be invited, really humbled and happy to be a part of this amazing and inspiring group. Really excited to see our group grow over the years and everything that we all accomplish, and couldn't be happier to be a part of this group.
Yezdi.
Hi, thank you all for being here. And my mantra always is knowing is not doing, doing is doing. So you need to go to the website, register yourself, get the maximum out of this free resource that is available across the board. And not only scholarships, we are looking at internships also. Sign up on Facebook, sign up on the website to get the latest updates on all our webinars and all other scholarships across the world. Thank you very much.
So it is my pleasure to have been able and privileged to have been able to moderate the session today. I'm very grateful to the panelists and the synthesizer for having pulled this together. As was mentioned, putting this webinar together just doesn't happen overnight. The panelists, we've met four times before the presentation this morning, and each of the panelists has practiced, and we have a support structure that is run by Yezdi, and I'm very grateful for everybody who's participated. And we are all available to help people. We are all available to promote the entrepreneurship from the standpoint of business, from the standpoint of social, and from the standpoint of intellectual. So we look forward to seeing you all next week, for the next webinar next month. And we will we will be available to talk to you after the webinar is over. So if anybody would like to engage on a little bit of tete-a-tete after the formal closing of the webinar, please stay online. So thank you all very much. Yezdi, you may stop recording. All the best.